Joining us today is Mike Simmons, the founder of Astronomy for Equity, an affiliate research scientist at the Blue Marble Space Institute of Science, and a member of the board of directors for the International Dark Sky Association. Mike is here to talk with us about a new crowdfunding campaign to bring telescopes to astronomy outreach students in Libya. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
So, Mike, tell us about this program. What is Astronomy for Equity, and what is this new crowdfunding campaign that you have?
Well, Astronomy for Equity is really an outgrowth of things I've done before founding Astronomers Without Borders 15 years ago, and then doing things there, building the community, and learning that the community was really interested in helping other people. That there, I traveled to places like Iran and Iraq and worked with people in Afghanistan and so on, and they just aren't able to get the telescopes and so on. And it started really with my connecting enthusiasts in Iran and the US. They couldn't get telescopes at all at the time. That's improved, but people here just really wanted to help them. And over time, I learned that we could do a lot of good things, but there are people who are marginalized either because they're in developing countries, they're isolated, they are women in STEM in paternalistic societies, or the blind and visually impaired or other disabilities, things like that. Everybody's interested in astronomy. Everybody's interested in what's up there, but not everybody has access. So it's just about providing opportunities for accessibility to give people a chance and introducing STEM, science, through astronomy. Because, a lot of places I've helped and worked with and been, they don't have biology labs or chemistry labs or physics labs. They may not have a floor on the classroom floor, but they got a great astronomy lab overhead. And so that's accessible for everybody. Now, in this case, we've just launched Astronomy for Equity, and our first crowdfunding campaign is for astronomy clubs in middle schools in Libya. And this can be problematic. Students start astronomy clubs and then they move on, and the telescope isn't used. In this case, there is a national NGO, has over 700,000 followers on Facebook in Arab-speaking languages. They are partnering with the Ministry of Education. They've created a network of astronomy clubs. They are doing workshops. They have advisors and consultants. Everything is there. It sounds like they're doing great, but they can't get telescopes. And so this is the type of thing that I've seen a lot, where there's just one thing missing. And that's the case for a lot of marginalized communities that just don't have access because of one thing. In the case of Astronomy for the Blind, which is another thing we're doing, they can think, they love this stuff, but they can't see it. They need tactile things. And so that's the idea. So this campaign is just to get a few telescopes over there to Libya for these kids in a really good, scalable, sustainable program.
And how many telescopes are you fundraising for?
Well, right now we're fundraising for 4. There are 5 clubs. That's all I could get held because of the supply chain problems. So we have them on hold, but we're going to have to do more to get more telescopes. They want to get 4 telescopes for each club. I don't know if that many are necessary, but the thing is that they're going to other schools, they're doing workshops, so they probably have a use for it. But we're going to need at least 1 more. And if we reach this goal, and we'll at a stretch goal, we'll raise the number, we'll get more telescopes. The logistics is the problem. First, aside from just getting the telescopes here, because they have to come from China, but then they have to get to Libya. And shipping telescopes halfway around the world is really expensive. And in this case, we're raising enough money for them to go by sea. It'll take 2 or 3 months, but air is just prohibitively expensive. There are ways I've worked around that by sending them with people who are traveling anyway as excess luggage, but we don't have that opportunity. So 4 for now, more to come.
So did the pandemic have any effect on any of your what effect really did the pandemic have on your outreach efforts?
What's had an effect on just about everybody worldwide. In terms of local outreach efforts, everybody had to deal with this. Like, is it safe to have people come and gather around a telescope? We'll bring them one at a time. Are their eyelashes going to touch the eyepiece? Do we have to clean it off with alcohol each time? These are a lot of unknowns. It turns out, most people have kind of figured that out, and that can be done. But as far as the things that I'm doing in organizing things around the world, it's the supply chain is one of the really big things. The other thing is the shipping is just way more expensive because of the gas problems. Otherwise, the things are moving on. It hasn't stopped us from trying to do things for other people who, as long as they're able to do it there and we can help them. The other ones that we have coming up that we're working on have to do with STEM camps for children in refugee camps in northern Nigeria. If they're doing the programs and they need a telescope or other materials, we will help them get it.
That brings me to my next question. What other types of outreach activities, fundraising activities, are you looking to do with Astronomy for Equity?
Well, one of the main things, of course, is it's a startup. It's not funded. We need money. So in order to be able to do anything at all, so we do need to get donors. It's a scramble, with nonprofits like this. It's always a chicken and egg problem. You can't do anything till you have money, and for the most part, you can't raise money until you show some sort of progress.
Right.
So I'm hoping, because of all the things I've done in Astronomers Without Borders, International Year of Astronomy before that, and 100 Hours of Astronomy, and the other 40 years or 30 years of doing astronomy leadership before that, that people will recognize these are things that we can get done because we've been doing it for years, and put their money in to help us. The other things, the one I mentioned in Nigeria, we have an education program using in Uganda, using astronomy to introduce STEM. Again, this is based at a university there. It's in different cities. Good programs like this, they don't do one-offs. They start workshops. They develop ways of doing things remotely where they need to. The problem is in Uganda, some of the places they want to do it, they can't do it remotely because there's no internet connection. They're off the grid. There may not be electricity. And this is the thing. These students out there, they're going to look up at the sky. They're going to dream. They're going to want to be astronauts and scientists, and they know about this stuff. But how do you do it if you grow up in a place like that? And they need the opportunity, and the country needs them. That's the other thing. They need scientists and engineers and technologists and mathematicians. They need it to build their future. Other things I mentioned, astronomy for the blind and visually impaired. Just putting out a call now for groups that want to join a small effort to start with of connecting learning from experts. So we have people who are blind, who are experts in consulting, teaching people how to deal with them, but also people from, for example, Space Telescope Institute to make 3D tactile materials. There are tons of materials out there for astronomy for the blind. NASA has a bunch. There are lots of experts.
Yeah.
And I know from going around the world and meeting with people in all these countries, they want to do this, but they're not getting connected together. Again, one piece missing. So I will have a Google form out soon that will allow people to say, yeah, we want to do this, and start getting these things in use. NASA has a bigger reach than we do, obviously, but they don't reach the outreach groups all around the world the same way.
Right. They're very focused on the US. And so your organization is going to take that. Again, it's the same sort of philosophy as Astronomy Without Borders. You're taking the borders away and saying we're going to work with anybody who needs help.
Exactly. It's not, I realized after a while, it's not just removing borders. We're just redrawing it around all the people who do astronomy. So it's astronomy land. This is the place with the border around it, and those are the people we work with. And within that country of astronomy land, all the people are there, and we bring them together in that way.
So, Mike, you've been involved with astronomy outreach. I think you said before we started the interview for a long time. And what has been some of the fundamental changes you've seen in the community over your career?
Well, my first telescopes I got in the early 1970s. There were very few options. They were very basic. They were very expensive, relatively.
Mm-hmm.
Amateur astronomy now is unbelievable. It's just what's available is beyond comprehension, really. For if this was, Back to the Future, and you came here from then, you wouldn't believe it. Forget about the hoverboards. We got better stuff than that in astronomy these days. So that's one thing, and it's allowed people to do things. I was just talking with a really expert astrophotographer whose pictures that he takes with a 16-inch telescope are way beyond what the largest telescope in the world could do at the time. When I was younger, the Palomar 200-inch. The other thing is the community itself. The opportunities are endless, and there are many different things. But the community, this is the reason in 100 Hours of Astronomy in the International Year, we brought the astronomy community together and really made the professionals realize there's a big community out there. Now they're doing it too with the Office of Astronomy Outreach and other things. And bringing people together, there's no reason that we have to gather in little exclusive groups. Like in the U.S. Well, in the U.S. you go to an astronomy club meeting, and it's mostly going to be old white guys like me, and that's changing a little bit. Go to Iran, it's mostly young women. They really outnumber the men, and if you're over 30, it's kind of unusual. That's true in Vietnam with people I work with. In the Philippines, it's young people who are getting into it. It's not us old guys who have been doing this thing forever and stuck in a rut doing the same things. So it is up and coming, expanding around the world. This is really, I think, the biggest thing that's important as far as those of us in North America and the Western countries to realize. People say, where are the young astronomers coming from? And I say, just look at the other countries. It's just they've discovered it, they love it, and the internet's made it possible for them to do much more. And I've seen outreach clubs doing astronomy outreach that didn't even have telescopes because there's so much information available.
That's a really interesting fact, and it's really fascinating to me. I work with a local astronomy group, and I'm lucky and blessed to be in an area where there are multiple astronomy groups, because we are a very spread out area here in the Bay Area. And so, there's 3 that I've been involved with since I moved here, and at least 2 others that I know of. But you are right, the composition does tend to still be very strongly towards old white guys, which, I mean, that's where it started for a lot of these things, and that's where everything was. But I would be interested, and I'm kind of curious, sort of on a personal note, what you would think of this, of finding a way to get some of these young astronomy enthusiasts from other countries to be able to speak directly with some of these local astronomy groups, to sort of show, like, these are the people who, we're encouraging and are working on this, and we need to find a way to support them. I mean, obviously you can't bring these, a lot of these students just over and say, like, here, come to a tour. But, if you do have an internet connection that we can actually make happen, I think this would be like a really good idea to get some of these students in front of the older generation, to show them here's where your next generation is coming from. These are the people we need to find ways to mentor.
Exactly. And just name a country, chances are I know a group there. Because I'm giving talks to groups in Bangladesh and all over the place, and the leaders are the young people who are driven, who have discovered astronomy,
Mhm.
It's I don't know, I can't explain why, and I can't explain why it's mostly women in some countries too. In Iran, that surprises everybody. I think, well, I don't really know, but it's mostly women in science in Iran too, and it's something cultural, but it's a place I go a lot, and the culture is different. But yeah, name a place. I mean, I would love to arrange a series of things. I think that would be a really good thing. Maybe that's a great idea, Beth. I'm going to start a program like that. We can do that. We will do this here. You've seen it live on the air. A new collaboration. This is how things happen. Daily Space or one of the other CosmoQuest programs can have programs of these people. I'll bring the talent, and we'll do the interviews.
And
I
we'll
think
find the astronomy organizations here to send those interviews too.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just stream them out to everybody. Um, but they are everywhere. And I think it's an important thing for people to realize. I mean, one of the other aspects of astronomy for equity for me, and this is a little farther down the line, I've been involved in the Overview Effect, the Overview Institute since it began, about astronauts who go into space and see the Earth differently because they see it as a planet among the stars, not looking down, it's looking out at it in the solar system. And it changes their perspective. And astronomy is the overview effect for the rest of us. When we do this, just like what you're suggesting, and we connect and we look at the moon together, but we're looking in different directions, then we realize we're on this planet together, and that's a big part of it too. So this would be a great way to do it, to bring people together and show them how astronomy has an impact in other places.
So, Mike, how can people assist you? Where can they go? Where do they find out more information? And how can they join your crowdfunding campaign?
Well, the crowdfunding campaign is on Fundraiser, fundrazr.com. I hope you guys are going to share the links for us.
Absolutely. They will be in our show notes.
Yeah. And so you can go there. And we got a little slow start. Don't let that worry you. We've got a lot of PR coming out now, and this is going to succeed. And I'm hoping it'll go beyond these limits because we have a lot more to come. If they want to see about astronomy for equity, that's just astroforequity.org. Sign up for mailing list, which again, we just launched the website, so you'll be the first ones on there. But we're writing blogs and so on, and there is a donut button, donate button there. I'll give a free donut to anybody who donates, and we'll get Homer Simpson to do something. Donuts. And
Donuts.
but we really can use donors at this point. We've had a few. But we need to reach out. Anybody that thinks this is valuable, please read the blogs, and they can contact me. They have ideas, questions, or piles of cash.
And if you pass this on to a corporate sponsor, I'm sure Mike will happily talk to them as well.
Oh, foundation and corporate, fundraising. I'm retired from academia, so I'm familiar with getting government grants and so on. I'm not going to live long enough to deal with that. You guys know what that's like. I know Pamela deals with that. Foundations and corporations, anybody with ins, that's where it happens. So if they have any kind of support, if you have any ideas, please send them along. You can write to me. My primary address is, well, I think I have a Mike at astroforequity.org, but also you can put my primary one, Mike at mikesimmons.net. I have a good spam filter, so, put it out there.
Mike, will you be joining us for Cosmo Questacon? Would you be interested in coming and being a guest to talk more about outreach?
Yes, absolutely. And I think we've talked about that before. I think I'm on your list. You wrote to me. I've done it before. I would love to do that. I mean, everything that Pamela's been doing, we usually get together once in a while and complain about the world and how difficult it is to do these things. So we commiserate.
Yeah.
Doing good things is not easy.
Mm-mm.
This is not a way to get yourself rich, but we both feel driven, and I would love to be a part of that and contribute in any way I can.
Fabulous. Well, we look forward to having you there, and good luck on this campaign. We will make sure to get the word out to our community and ask them, obviously, guys, family, friends, our Astro community, our CosmoQuest community, please pass the word on so that we can extend astronomy resources around the world to people who might not otherwise have had them.
And share the wealth. And it's important for people to recognize I've had donations of $1, and having a name up there that says, I support you, I've only got $1, that's worth a ton because other people see that.
Mm-hmm.
Every donation, no matter how small, and share it. And if you can't donate, pass it on to somebody else.
And we'll have links for all of that in our show notes at dailyspace.org, as well as on our Twitter and Facebook pages. So make sure everybody goes and checks that out. And thank you, Mike, for being here with us today, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much for your support.